Well, I hope that you all really benefit from viewing this video, and we're going to try to squeeze a lot of information into a short period of time, and it was a lot of fun making this painting for me. So let's get started here. When I begin a painting in this specific method that I'm demonstrating today, I really start just by I use a few broad drawing marks, but then I start to make notes of the tonalities. You can see I put in some of the hair and the colors that are up in her face and in the background, and you can't see the model. She's actually behind the panel in the video, but there'll be pictures that will come up periodically of the pose. And so I start putting in these big general tonalities and shapes, and I'm not worried so much about drawing in the first 20 minutes. You can see this is probably the second 20 minutes, and I've started to worry a little more about drawing. I'm solidifying some shapes. You can see I've started to develop the nose and lips, and but still really focusing on the poster or the colors that are going to be used in the painting. These places where I'm putting in the background, oftentimes I paint it with a little higher chroma, which means, and whenever I'm alla prima painting, I kick up the chroma a little bit, which means I paint a little brighter colors than I might normally use, because I know I'm going to be painting wet into wet. That means I'm going to be mixing back into these colors, and so I'll keep the color pretty bright throughout the process so it doesn't get dull and gray. And at this point, I've started to solidify the drawing, and in painting alla prima, especially in this method that I'm demoing here specifically, I feel like it's important to always be thinking about bringing the drawing up. It doesn't matter if your colors are really good and if it feels really bright and lively. If the drawing is weak, the painting still doesn't feel like a success, or generally doesn't feel like you can get a very good likeness. So I focus a lot on developing the drawing, and you can see I'm bringing up the dark light over there on the side of the cheek, and started to put in a little more background here as well. I had a lot of fun with the background in this painting. Some of it I did make up, I guess, to a degree, but I was actually seeing those colors in the background. These blues, and even later I'll paint in yellows and greens, but I was seeing lots of really pretty wild, bright color, and so I made some notes of those you can see around her head. So here, just continuing to develop the shapes, and you can see the drawing is coming around. I still don't have a great likeness, and you'll see me a lot wrestling where I'm on the chin and the cheek and the lips, and a lot of those areas she had really specific features that were really gentle and beautiful, and I was having a hard time articulating them. But the nice thing about painting is if you just keep plugging away, don't worry about that you're making mistakes or that the likeness isn't there, just keep getting it closer and closer and closer, and it'll come around, and I think it really did in this painting today. You can see I just painted in her nose ring. She'll be able to see more clearly in the picture at the end of the video. There I am, still working on that jawline. It's fun to develop your edge quality in the paintings. In paintings, you should have some edges that are soft, some edges that are hard, and it helps to direct your focal point. And I generally like to keep a lot of the edges really soft. You'll see me continually going around the sides of the head and the cheeks, softening and softening, and I usually reserve hard edges for things like jewelry or like her necklace. Specifically in this painting, And you might see when the picture comes up, I have moved her necklace up onto her chest higher for compositional reasons, and during one of the breaks I actually had her tie her necklace a little higher, so I was actually painting it how I saw it, but in the images that pop up on the side of her, her necklace remains down in those, so you might notice that my painting looks a little different than that photo. But these colors, oh, there's where I dropped in some of the greens in the background. I was really seeing those. They're really interesting, like color phenomena. In this lighting situation I was painting her in, the colors are really soft, and I mean, they might still be really chromatic, but it's not a dramatic lighting situation. So the tonalities, even down the shadow in her neck, are really soft. They're not really dark or black. You have to let a lot of light creep up into your shadows in those areas, and that's reflected up in there because that's just how this light source is. There, I painted in the necklace a little bit, and you can see I had it drawn in one place and just moved it. It's always good to just fix your mistakes, and that's all painting is a series of fixing mistakes. It's not about getting it right, it's about each brushstroke just getting it a little more right than it was before. And if you think like that, it'll really help you stay inspired and not frustrated. It's not about perfection. I spent a lot of time working around her eyes. She had really beautiful features around her eyes and her nose, and I felt like it was really difficult actually to paint them as beautifully as I was experiencing them. And that really is the point of painting for me, is to express my experience of beauty and to share it with other people. And so it's important to me not necessarily that the likeness is perfect, but at least that that who Haley was articulated a little bit, and how beautifully I was seeing her is articulated in the painting. There I was blocked in the shirt. I remember having this moment thinking it will be so much better compositionally if I was going to leave the shirt out, and then I thought I just need to paint it in. And I think we're always concerned with composition, and to put it really simply, I think that composition is just placing subjects on the picture plane in a way that's pleasing and to look at, and so I'm always thinking about that. How is the painting going to be more impactful, and how is the viewer going to enjoy it more? In this case, I felt like the shirt was important to put in. Here I am just going back over and over the face, adding in chroma and really searching out form. There's all these little interlocking forms that create a face. And so I was going back and adding light on the top of the forms and trying to bring up the light and adding, it's hard to see here, but adding a lot of color and chroma into it, just brightening up the color. And like I said before, you kind of have to overshoot the chroma a little bit in alla prima paintings, because oftentimes when you're mixing back in and back in, the color gets dulled down, or really what happens is it gets neutralized. And so when I'm adding in chroma, I'm really putting in some bright, say using reds, yellows, oranges. And this was painted at the Ryder Studio in Santa Fe, New Mexico, and so you see some of our fellows, some other painters I work with that are over on the side, old friends. So here just solidifying some drawing marks again, and really just trying to tighten things up a little bit. this is the end of the video. I hope you've enjoyed this, and you can visit renaissancelifenow.com for more instructional videos.